Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Parshas Lecha, Sichas Chalak Aleph. Okay, we're going to finish off this portion of the Sicha with Hashem today, and we'll see you on next week. So, we're discussing there's three pirushim, there's three ways of understanding what does it mean Lech Lecha, Hashem says Lech Lecha, you should go for yourself. So the simple pasuk is that Hashem is telling Avram to leave where he's from, his father's place, Terach and all these things, and go to Atlanta. I'll show you. He doesn't even tell him where, but he says go, and it means to Eretz Yisrael. So we can understand this on the level of L'maya Lamata, Lamata L'mayla, and in Lamata Gufa. Now, the L'maya Lamata level is understanding this in the spiritual terms of the neshama, that, like it says, the neshama against its will it lives, and also you say against the will it dies. What do you mean against the will it lives? It means the neshama is L'mayla, is in Shemayim before it comes down, and it's living next to Hashem, and it's living good life. And then you tell the neshama you have to come down to this physical world. He doesn't want to. This is a Lech Lecha. Go out of your comfort zone. Go out of the place where you feel comfortable and go down to this land. And like it says, like the Fidik says in his Sikha, that the neshama gets shown Gan Eden Gehenim, meaning it's shown what's right, what's wrong. But when neshama sees this, he says, I don't want to have a connection to this. I don't want to go do that. I don't want to do it as Elam Hazeh. But that's Lecha. And we gave it all these different ways of understanding it, from above to below. Different levels of the neshama, and going through the different worlds, Atzilus, and all these things. Then we have the other version of Lecha, which is going from below to above, which is sort of the ultimate purpose of this Lech Lecha, that is Liyirid L'Tzerech Aliyah. That's when the neshama comes down specifically in this world, like we discussed, being at work, and being in the mundane, and being in that place where there's opportunities for mistakes and opportunities for issues, is where you can truly bring it out. Meaning, life in Tishrei is not meant to be all year round. We don't want to live in seminary all our lives. We don't want to have that type of lifestyle. We want to go and walk on ourselves and go from below to above, and specifically in the mundane, in the work, taking care of the kids, having to run a family versus being in seminary is where you really have it. That's really express it. That's what Lecha is all about, and this is exactly where it expresses itself the most. Like just to repeat that, when we think about our time in seminary versus taking care of the kids, it's like, man, that was so much easier, so much more fun, and in certain times we could say I felt so much more spiritual, so much more connected. And now I can barely daven, I can barely say a bracha, have a chance to even get dressed properly before I have to go take care of the kids. It's crazy. But we're saying that specifically over there is at home with the kids, with all the struggle, is where you bring it out. It's not in seminary. And then, and we could elaborate this, and bring out this for forever. Then, and that's sort of essentially what we're saying. And we said, ultimately, what does it mean? All those pirushim, all those explanations are different levels. You have going from what's again, is from your tzenes, from your nature, your teva, your desires, your emotions, your natural tendencies. We said, and then you have the artzach from your land, from when you grew up, the lifestyle of the country you were at. You also have to get out of that. In base of Lecha, you have the father's house, what you were brought up with. And there's like another simple example of this is people come and tell you, or you grew up but yesterday, you grew up and people telling you certain things, or you're like this, or you're good at this, you're not good at this, you're and all these definitions that we've been given when we were young, and when we're growing up, we have to Lech Lecha, we have to go out of those. And just because when I was 5 years old, I wasn't good at reading, it doesn't mean I'm not good at reading now. Just because I wasn't a good learner at 5 years old doesn't mean I'm not a good learner. Just because I wasn't a good cook growing up doesn't mean I can be a good cook. And just because of whatever happened then doesn't mean I'm still that now. And this is a Lech Lecha. But ultimately, all we're saying is coming from the klippa side of things and the negative to the positive. And that's what we're saying. And this is the Yirid L'Tzerech Aliyah. But now, today we're going to discuss even in Kedusha. It's a whole different level of Lech Lecha. First time I read this, not this, but the first time this concept, I was like blown away. So now we're going to see how it works in Kedusha. Yes, hey. So after the Neshama brings us out this Lech Lecha, when we go out of ourselves, and we do all these things, and we work on ourselves, and we realize we have true potential, and we push ourselves. And even if it's not comfortable, this is the whole point. But we realize that, and this is sort of a frame that we should have. And I do this, I try this, that when something's uncomfortable, instead of saying it's uncomfortable, I don't want to do this, I'm uncomfortable, we say, it's uncomfortable, it means I'm growing. Because if you don't, you can't grow without being uncomfortable. Everything takes effort. You do exercise, it's uncomfortable. It hurts. But you're growing. And you know that if it's not hurting, it means you're not growing. And so too here. When this Lech Lecha, when you're trying to do these things, you're trying to push yourself a little bit, you're trying to get out of that comfort zone, it gets uncomfortable. But that means you're growing. So after we did all these things, we go out of all our Nefesh Bahamas' things, like we said, whether it's from the upbringing or whether it's the community or anything like that, and we go out of that and we change ourselves and we become the person who we think we could be. We don't listen to Yetzirah and Nefesh Bahamas. So then there's another level. An even deeper, even higher level, which is now we're taking it to a whole different level. And the Rebbe is saying, after we walked on Nefesh Bahamas and we transformed it, and we transformed ourselves, and we're not the person that we were brought up with. We're not living life of our nurture or our nature. But we're nurturing ourselves, and we're training ourselves, we're teaching ourselves how to do things, and we're doing good at it. Now we have to recognize, and this is ultimately what the Rebbe is saying, we have to recognize also in the Nefesh Elokis you have this Lech Lecha. Even in the Nefesh Elokis it's stuck with its things. So what does it mean? Well, what does it mean in the Nefesh Elokis? So you have Artzacha. What does it mean? You land in Nefesh Elokis, which is the Retzonos HaNefesh Elokis, the want of the Nefesh Elokis. What does it mean? The birthplace is Mechachma Shal Nefesh Elokis. It's the Chachma Nefesh Elokis, because Chachma is the beginning. Is Chachma Bina, is like Father Mala. That's how we get born. So too in Nefesh Elokis, the Chachma Shal Nefesh Elokis, the thoughts of Nefesh Elokis, the wisdom of Nefesh Elokis. When you base Avecha from their father's house, it means go out of the meditation of holy things. To go out of these things, to reach a level above reasoning. And I'll explain this. This hanacha, this like action that we have of this chachma, which is pnimis abba analysis mesech, which is the pnimis of abba, which is the inner aspect of chachma, which is above chachma, above sech, above intellect. Even the intellect of chachma. So what he's saying is, never saying it's a profound idea, and he's saying like this: that the Nefesh Elokis, we always think about it as Nefesh Bahamas and Nefesh Elokis, the good guy, the bad guy, or the bad guy, the good guy, and that's how it is. It's very simple. But Chassidus always everything is a lot deeper, and they were saying that ultimately even the Nefesh Elokis has its limitations, because Nefesh Elokis, and like in general, Chassidus talks about Nefesh Bahamas is like a wild animal, but Nefesh Elokis is a very tame. But tame animals are also very docile, but they're very like nebachi. And they're simple and they're quiet and they don't push. The Nefesh of Bahamas is wild. And that's the whole part. When you take the Nefesh of Bahamas, because of that wildness that he has, you can push him and you can get him to do all these things that Nefesh Elokis can't do. Nefesh Elokis, like it says in the Maimon, he's cool, cold, and calculated. Nefesh of Bahamas is wild. You take that wild animal and you harness it, that energy, Nefesh of Bahamas doesn't have. Nefesh Elokis doesn't have. And what we're saying is that even on Nefesh Elokis, when it comes to holy things, we can limit ourselves in what our ability is. And we're saying, according to logic, even spiritual, holy logic, this is where I'm limited, and this is where I'm stuck, and this is where I'm controlled. I can only learn this amount of time. I can only daven this amount. I can only do this amount of things. And we're not talking about negative things you have to get away from. They're in all the positive things, but we're still limiting ourselves, even in the positive things. And this is a wild idea. And what we're saying is, you have to lech lecha even from that level. That for sure you have to, you can't sit there and want to change your lifestyle, do exercise, and not take care of the big elephant in the room, whatever it is. Let's say we're eating junk food all day. Say, I want to be healthier, so I'm going to make sure to go and do some exercise for 5 minutes. It's nice and that's good, but if you still have all the junk food in your house that you're snacking on all day, it's not going to really work. You have to work on that. And this is sort of the work on the Nefesh Bahamas stuff. You have to see in life, what are the big issues that I'm not dealing with? And that's one thing. And that's the Lecha on one level. But together with that, and you don't want to say that it's one first and the other, but there's both of them. Another thing you're working on is also the Lecha of the holy things, which is, yeah, I need to take care of all that junk food that I have, or going to bed late, or having distractions with me all the time. And together with that, even when I'm doing spiritual things, am I just limiting myself to my capabilities? And for sure we are. This is just the nature. We don't want to be uncomfortable. And this is the Lech life, to go out and say uncomfortable. Even the holy things, even the spiritual things, we have to move ourselves. We have to come out of that. And we have to say, I can't learn. Why can't I learn? And it's not just, it's not beating ourselves up and just like pushing through everything, but it's using our brains and saying, hey, am I using all my time wisely? Could I be using it better? Can I take care of myself in a different way? Am I giving myself a chance to learn? Even 5 minutes, and things like this, and recognizing these things. And I'm telling you, when we start to tap into that nefesh lekis, and even not limit ourselves to nefesh lekis's issues, and say, I don't have time. I don't have time to learn so much. Like, I want to learn. Nefesh lekis, he wants to learn. So you say to yourself, I do want to learn. I feel I want to learn, but I don't really have any time. Well, I don't have half an hour to learn, so don't learn for half an hour. I'll learn for 5 minutes. Make a 5-minute chavrusa. I'll learn while you're cooking, while you're cleaning, And this is what we're saying. And we can do this. This is the Lecha. This is what we're talking about. And this is the lesson of Lecha. Because like we said in the beginning of the Sikha, even though this is not the first test Avram had, why is this brought down? And it wasn't even the greatest test. Why is it brought down? It's because this is something for us. And this is what the lesson of Lecha is teaching us. That we have to recognize that we can't settle ourselves for just living life, just whatever it is. We have to move, we have to push ourselves. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. Telling Avram, telling me to go. Where am I going? Don't worry about it. I'll tell you where to go. Well, that's pretty scary. But the point is, in life, the key to the success is with the move, is Lecha, is going. Where am I going? I don't even know exactly the destination, and it could be even us. I don't have a clear plan of where exactly I'm meant to be, which we should. We should have goals in our lives that we want to achieve. A 1-year goal, a 5-year goal, not an unattainable goal, but something that we can constantly say to ourselves, hey, am I going in the direction I want to go? And but that movement of Lecha, of going, of leaving where we're holding, and not saying I'm stuck in this way. It has to be. I can move myself, and through that effort and pushing ourselves and moving ourselves, we transform ourselves. Just to continue the next part of the Sikha, so we have something to continue on from tomorrow. Hopefully we have to finish it. So the next Sikha, that's the first part. The next part. Ois Vav. The Frierdiker said many times that the Jew is connected to Torah. And the division of the Torah into Parshas shows that from the Parsha of that week, in this week, Parshas Lech Lecha, Efshar Lahasik Hayiras Beyeches Lemuris Hashavua. So what's happening in this week in our lives is connected with Parshas Lech Lecha, and we should be able to see it. In the last years, the Rebbe would a lot of times do this and speak every night and stuff, and they're able to talk connected with that day's Chumash and that day's Rambam even. And this is what we're saying, that when we live with the Parsha, it's not just, it means that we should learn the Sikha, but it means living the Parsha also means that that when we're learning the Parsha of the Chumash, we can connect it to our lives. And tomorrow we'll get into it. But everyone should have an amazing day. Everyone should work on our Lech Lecha, and we should realize how much we have to gain, how much we push ourselves, and not in a negative way. That's 100%. We have to make sure it's a clear caveat that the Lech Lecha and pushing ourselves is not coming from a negative place. It's not that I'm not good enough, and I want to be better. I want to be good. I'm good, but I can be better. So Mitzvah Hashem, we should all be successful in our Lech Lecha, and it should be a life-changing experience.